Back at it again, baby, and we got the brother Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin discussing Jordan Peterson. Let's dive in.
I want to get back to some of the lessons that you have in Don't Burn this book. One of the ones that really struck me, because it was actually rather moving, is your discussion of your relationship with Jordan Peterson. So obviously Jordan is on the cover of the book. You're very tight with Jordan. I'm friends with Jordan, but you are really good friends with Jordan. I mean, you were on the road with Jordan for 2 years as his warm-up act, essentially. And the events are fantastic. If you've ever been to one of the events with Jordan and Dave, I'd highly recommend it. I was privileged to help warm up the crowd at one of the events, and it really was a lot of fun.
That might have been the best night of the whole tour, because that was right at the end. And we did it here in LA at the Orpheum. And, you know, when you do something in LA, all the agents are there, and there's just like a different feel to it. The crowd was electric. You were the surprise guest. You brought me the little cake, because the lefties are very upset that you won't bake me a gay wedding cake. Although I have no reason to believe you're a decent baker. I don't want your cake, but you brought me a cake. People were very exciting. And it was a perfect example of the hypocrisy of the progressives, because we do this event in front of 3,000 people. The crowd goes freaking bananas. We're up there, we're making jokes at each other, mocking each other. You do a pretty funny impression of Jordan. I mean, everyone, it was a freaking love fest in that room. People started posting the videos of it online, and suddenly the amount of hate that I got. Dave Rubin, self-hating gay, stands on stage with homophobe Ben Shapiro and white supremacist Jordan Peterson. And it's like, man.
It's wild how some people come up with some of this. Apparently Dave Rubin is gay. I honestly have never even really heard of Dave Rubin. I don't know like who exactly he is, what he does, but apparently he's gay. So because he stands on stage with somebody you don't like, he's now a person that hates gay people. He is gay. Like, how does that even make sense? That logic just doesn't even make sense. If people were legitimately saying that, and I'm just gonna take him for his word. Maybe he's lying. If he is, then shame on him, and that's some bullshit. But if he isn't, that logic that people spew doesn't even make sense. How does that even make sense? Like, make that make sense. Maybe I'm a dumbass, and somebody please educate me, because apparently I'm totally wrong. I don't know, because I've seen this happen multiple times. Anyway.
We took a room of truly diverse people and gave them a great time. We put differences aside. That's what America is all about. That's a beautiful thing that we need to cherish. And here are the supposed tolerant people who are upset that we actually were able to accomplish that.
I know the fact that you and I can be nice to each other really does drive people up a wall. It's pretty hilarious. But to talk about Jordan for a second. So obviously Jordan's been going through some very, very difficult times. You don't have to be a spokesperson here. Have you heard from him how he's doing?
So I don't want to say anything that's not publicly known at the moment. I did see him a few months ago. I can tell you this: he's getting better. He will be back. Watching some of the vitriol when it was announced that he had got hooked on these benzos, which, by the way, there is a little bit of miscommunication or misinformation about what happened there. He was very open and would talk about it.
What the hell is a benzode? I would look it up, but my hands are quite full at the moment. Somebody help me out in the comment section, please.
Often during the lectures that he was taking a small amount of this. We found out in the middle of the tour that his wife had what they thought was terminal cancer. Thank God it turned out not to be terminal, and she's actually doing much better. But try to imagine this guy who was a mild-mannered psychologist and professor who suddenly became the world's father in a way, like the preeminent public thinker of our time, traveling the world, the fame, the hit pieces. You remember the enforced monogamy hit piece in the New York Times, and you remember the Kathy Newman,
out that video.
So What You're Saying Is moment, and all those things. Living through all of that, then thinking his wife is going to die. I mean, I was literally at lunch with him. We were at lunch at a steakhouse, of course, when he got the call about his wife. I saw this man live through something unbelievably, extraordinarily horrible, or as he would say, brutal, and always put his best foot forward. So I can't say anything more about that specifically, other than I never saw him break one of those rules, and I saw him just trying to be true. And if he gave me anything through osmosis or accident, it's that. I am really, really trying to do that. And it doesn't mean that I do it every moment of every day, but I try to incorporate those ideas, those rules, and just being with someone that, his whole mission really was, if you fix yourself, if you clean your room, if you stand up straight with your shoulders back, you might start fixing the world. And I saw him trying to do that, and I saw him actually accomplishing it. So, he's got he's got something to deal with right now, and I have no doubt that he will deal with it and that he'll be back.
Yeah, you tell a pretty great story in the book about how Jordan dresses when he's out in public. And it is true. I mean, Jordan dresses the same way all the time. I'm old enough to remember when Jordan dressed more like a schlump. Like, I remember right at the beginning when Jordan was not nearly as natty in his attire as he is now. And as you point out in the book, he sort of took it on himself that he was going to dress in a particular way, and then that is how Jordan dresses all the time. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about some of the lessons that you've learned from Jordan.
Yeah. Well, the dressing it's just a very simple one, but it's just to present yourself a certain way to the world. And I asked him during the Q&As, so when we did the shows for your audience that didn't see any of the shows, I would do about 15 minutes of warm-up up top and just get everybody laughing and having a good time. Then Jordan would give about an hour-and-a-half lecture, and then we'd do about a 45-minute Q&A together at the end. And one of the questions that would often come up is, Jordan, when did you become a middle-aged male fashion icon? And he would say, well, when we started this tour and I had this book, I thought, I'm going to give it everything I got. And part of that is looking the part that I want to look. So he went from those frumpy yellow shirts that you've seen on YouTube from those old lectures into 3-piece fitted, sharp, suits and Italian shoes and the whole thing. And there was
my guy, clean as a whistle, sharp as a razor.
one day where we were in Stockholm, Sweden. And it's so funny because Sweden is one of the places that the socialists and Bernie Sanders, they always point to Sweden as if it's their Shangri-La, this absurdly tiny, mostly homogenous country, which is less homogenous now and having all sorts of problems, but they don't like to tell you that. But they always say we could just model ourselves after Sweden, we'd be in much better shape.
I need to study Sweden. Anybody got information on Sweden and the whole situation like that? I didn't even know about it. But I mean, if it's truly working, I know he kind of gave a little undertone there that it's not really working. Like there's parts of it that, are kind of hidden. Like unless you really live there, you don't really know, which I can definitely see. But let me know if you know the true situation, or if I got some fam that are out there in Sweden. Let me know the situation. I want to know the truth. I'm here for the truth and for the facts. I'm not saying that Dave is lying or anything like that, but I want some more information.
Well, the 2 shows that we did in Sweden sold out literally in 3 minutes. 3 minutes for 2 shows. And the foreign minister of Sweden issued a statement when we came back to Sweden. We did one, and then I think we left for Finland. We come back. The foreign minister issues a statement that she wishes that Jordan Peterson would crawl back from the rock that he came from. And we get there, and it's like people in Sweden they have a crippling free speech issue there because the society is so conforming that people are just afraid to say what they think about anything, about immigration, about economics, the whole slew of things. But the story quickly, we're in Stockholm.
That's why there could possibly be like an undertone of some bullshit going on because people are afraid to speak. So if people are afraid to speak, then you don't really get the truth because they're afraid to say what the truth is. And I feel like here in America that happened for a brief moment in time. I feel like we're coming back around a little bit with the help of, Jordan Peterson and other guys, Ben Shapiro, and just guys who just you don't really necessarily have to agree with a guy like Ben Shapiro. But the fact that he's just out there speaking his mind lets me know that we're back into a much better space. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me know.
Stockholm, and it was extremely windy that day, and I just wanted a hat to walk around the city. So I walk into H&M, which is one of their proud exports. I walk into H&M, and I grab the hat. There's a young kid who's probably about 20 years old in front of me online, and he says to the cashier in English, he says, this is the first suit I've ever bought. I'm going to see Dr. Jordan Peterson tonight. And the cashier, who's about the same age, looks at him and says, I'm going to see Peterson tonight. And I tapped the kid on the shoulder, and I said, hi, and they immediately knew who I was. And I thought, this is absolutely incredible. I am across the world right now, right? I'm across the world, and here are 2 young people, one of who's buying the first suit of his life so that he can present himself in a responsible way to go to an event to hear how he can further fix his life. How much more do you want of that? And then one other I'll give you real quick. I think it was in...
That's a true story. That's a great story right there.
Dublin. And when you do these theater shows as the performer, you don't walk out the front because, you'll get mobbed or whatever. So they have a little theater door on the side. We walk out after hours. And this is a long day of travel. And, he's signing autographs. He's shaking hands, the whole thing. We're beat at the end of the day. We're in the alley. And we see these 2 guys hugging. One looks like he's about 60. The other one's maybe in his mid-20s. They come up to us. They both have tears in their eyes. And it turned out that they were a father and son who hadn't seen each other in 5 or 6 years, who by chance both were at the event because they had bought the book and started to fix their lives, and then they reconnected that night. It's like, how much more of a real world example of goodness do you want to see? You know, and I could give you a million of those stories.
You know, it's crazy to think like little old Jordan Peterson, somebody that I just found out who he was, like legitimately. Whatever that first video was that I checked out of Jordan Peterson was genuinely my first time ever even hearing about who Jordan Peterson was. What was it? It was Jordan Peterson calmly dismantles feminism in front of two feminists. That was legitimately my first time ever checking out or even hearing about Jordan Peterson. And through listening to, his speeches, checking out some of these other videos, first off, the guy's a genius. He's a fantastic speaker. And I love that he speaks from a place of logic and facts. There's no feelings involved. He speaks very calmly. He's not yelling at folks and, throwing temper tantrums because people are coming at him. He's very respectful in that manner. And I know some people may say that he's disrespectful, but I feel like they only say he's disrespectful because he disagrees with their stance. And in society today, we have you're either for us or against us mentality. Like there's no in between. And I think that's part of the problem, but what do I know? What do I know? I think JP is a fantastic individual. Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro, talking about Jordan Peterson. Y'all let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. Hit that like button. It greatly helps the channel out. Would really, really appreciate it. All right, hit that subscribe button if you're new, and hit that bell button next to it so you know when these videos drop. It'll notify you. All right, comment below what you thought about it, and go and join the new Discord server. It's the first link in the description box below. Peace and love. I'm out.